going to talk about this. This is the automatic shutoff valve for your reverse osmosis system. A couple of things that we're going to cover in today's video. Number one, the purpose of the automatic shutoff valve and some symptoms of things that might be going wrong with your RO system that would point to the automatic shutoff valve. And then we're going to quickly tear it apart and show you how you can actually service it yourself at home if that is something that you would like to do. First of all, the purpose of the automatic shutoff valve is to shut off the flow of water through your reverse osmosis system. The way it works is that as water passes through the pre-filters of your RO system, that's at household incoming pressure. Then it goes through the shutoff, through the bottom half of the automatic shutoff valve here, in on the right side and out on the left side, to the RO membrane, and then out of the RO membrane back through the automatic shutoff valve, and then to the tank, which eventually goes to the faucet to be dispensed. How this works is that when the tank pressure reaches about 2/3 of what the incoming line pressure is to your RO system. So say, for example, if you have 60 psi at your home coming into your RO system, then once your tank hits about 40 psi, it actually begins to push backwards, and that backwards pressure in the automatic shutoff valve actually depresses the diaphragm, which then shuts down the incoming pressure and essentially cuts off flow through the whole system. So if you're noticing, for example, water is continuously flowing through your RO system even after a couple of hours, and you're confident that the tank is full, yet water continues to flow through it, one of the things that's potentially going wrong, and this is just one of the things, there's a variety of reasons for that happening, but one of them is a malfunctioning automatic shutoff valve. Maybe it's gotten dirt in there somehow, piece of, the finest piece of grit maybe is preventing a perfect seal inside there. So that's something that you could either service or you could replace the automatic shutoff valve, whatever you want to do. Another symptom of a bad shutoff valve would be a vibrating sound or a whistling sound, or some people have even called it a burping sound, that's coming from the RO system. That is almost always coming from the automatic shutoff valve. So we'll take it apart and take a look inside and see exactly what's going on. So this one I've already kind of pre-disassembled here with these screws just to make it a little bit easier. Now, if you're taking this apart with the intention of putting it back together, of course you want to take note of where everything was when you took it apart and put it back together exactly the way you saw it. So I'm just going to set that over to the side there. And now you see the first of two diaphragms. And so we'll take that out right there. And then the next piece to come out is this little, kind of looks like a button, but what that is, that's actually a piston. And then we have a spacer ring here. Give me a second to take that apart. Okay, so then we took out the spacer ring, and I had to, off camera, just put a little flathead screwdriver in there to kind of pry that loose. And then we have the bottom diaphragm right there. Okay, so the incoming water pressure is coming here on the inlet side from the right to the left. Okay, and then it passes up and up through this hole, and then down through the next hole, and then out through the rest of the system. But this is really the important part. So these little rubber diaphragms, these are the functional parts, and they are made out of flexible rubber, and they're designed to move up and down just ever so slightly on the inside there. Now it's important to make sure you get the right ones in the right place. The one with the smaller molded in O-ring here, that goes in the bottom on the high pressure side. And when you're taking this apart and inspecting it, you just want to make sure that it's just, you're looking for overall general cleanliness, make sure that there's no tears or holes in these diaphragms. I would rinse it off maybe with some distilled water, just to make sure we've got a nice clean surface there. And then also you could rinse this out with some distilled water as well. Then you just want to put that bottom diaphragm back in. Then you put your spacer back in, your piston, and then the top diaphragm. You want to do the same process of just rinsing it off with some distilled water and just making sure that it's nice and clean. You put that back on top, and then you reassemble exactly the way you took it off. And this part, it doesn't really matter if it goes like that or like that. You can't really get that one wrong. So then once you've reinstalled everything, you've tightened up the screws, you want to make sure you put this back exactly the way you found it when you took it out of the RO system. Same for if you're replacing this, not just fixing it. You want to put it back exactly the way you found it. With the inlet side, that's a green hose coming in on the inlet side from the 3 pre-filters, and then out to the RO membrane. And then the top one's not quite as important, the direction of those, but the tubes, as your RO system was delivered to you, your tubes are already kind of configured and they're cut in the right lengths, so it should be pretty obvious which way it goes back. And then if I were putting this back together on camera here, I'd make sure everything was nice and square and flat and straight. But that's it. That's what's happening with your automatic shutoff valve, and just a quick tear down and rebuild.